The following program is rated podcast MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
It's hard not to hate people, things, institutions. When they break your spirit and take pleasure in watching you bleed, hate is the only feeling that makes any sense. But I know what hate does to a man. It tears him apart. It turns him into something he's not, something he promised himself he'd never become. That's what I need to tell you, to let you know how hard I'm trying not to cave under the weight of all the awful things I feel in my heart. Sometimes my life feels like a deadly balancing act. What I feel slamming up against what I should do. Impulsive reactions racing to solutions miles ahead of my brain. When I look at my day, I realize that most of it was spent cleaning up the damages of the day before. In that life, I have no future. All I have is distraction and remorse. I buried my best friend 3 days ago. As cliched as it sounds, I left a part of me in that box. A part I barely knew, a part I'll never see again. Every day is a new box, boys. You open it and take a look at what's inside. You're the one that determines if it's a gift or a coffin.
When the sins of my father way down in my soul.
Jake in the house with me. Let's celebrate.
Woohoo!
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Which old witch? The wicked witch.
Gemma.
Ding dong, the
Nice.
wicked witch is dead.
That's right.
That's nice.
Wake up, you sleepy head. Rub your eyes. Get
Everybody
out
should
of
be
bed.
celebrating.
Wake up, the wicked witch is dead.
I'm so sad.
She's
A very
gone
intense episode.
where the goblins go below.
I know Chewy's sad.
Below your home. And so
I think I saw him shed a tear.
sing and ring the bells out. Ding
Dong, the wicked-
merry-o. Sing it
Come on,
high,
Jake, sing it.
Sing it low.
I don't
Let
remember.
them know
I know what
the
movie it's
wicked
from.
witch is dead.
All right, enough of that noise. That's just pure ridiculousness. Let's get this thing going. Oh, my God. I don't even know where to frickin' start, Jake. This frickin' season of Sons of Anarchy is going buck frickin' wild. That's right. We're podcasting to all you freaky, deaky, cult-like sons of bitches out there that follow this crazy series, The Sons of Anarchy. That's right. Don't worry. We're cult-like just like you. We love the show. That's right. And you know this is the podcast for the motorcycle and majority of the Big MM, also known as the
99%.
That's right. I got to ask all you Sons of Anarchy fans, what the frick are you waiting for? Mount up already. Let Jake take you on a wild-ass ride. Give him a reach around.
Get out there and ride.
That's right. Just get out there and freaking ride. Oh, guys, welcome. This is Ryan Urlacher, your host of the Law Abiding Biker Podcast, and your
High-tech redneck.
Jake in the house with me. We're going to get down to frickin' biz-nass because I honestly, Jake, out of doing all the podcast episodes in the Sons of Anarchy, I'm not going to lie to you. I've never been where I'm like, I don't know how to even tackle this dealio.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's getting crazy towards the end, and where they're going to go with it. I don't even, the predictions I've had, I thought I've been close. I've been good on some I've not. Now I don't even know.
Oh my God, dude. Tell me about it. But I do have copious show notes. If you guys want to get the show notes, or you ever want to go back to this article or this blog or this episode, it's lawabidingbiker.com/SOA16. That's right, SOA 16. And that's where it's going to be housed. And we are live. Welcome the live audience. We've already talked to you a bit before we started the actual podcast. Get in the chat room, get involved. And thank you for listening. If you're listening to this after and you're listening to the regular podcast on iTunes or Stitch or anything like that, and you want to listen live, you can just go to lawabidingbiker.com/live. You can listen right there from anywhere in the world for free. We provide that service for you guys. It's a totally different experience. You get it raw, behind the scenes. You get the mess ups. We joke and we tell you some extra information. We BS with you on chat. It's a really, really cool experience for us. And I know from the feedback that it's a cool experience for the listeners. Also, if you want to know when the live episodes are coming out, over on that page at lawabidingbiker.com/live is a email sign-up list. That list is exclusive and free if you just want to be notified when we put out new live episodes and the dates. I usually send an email out that day around 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time so that it's in your email box. There's a link right in that email so that you can simply come back at that time, hit the link. It takes you to a live page and you can start listening. When the time to start listening comes about, so tonight it was 6:15 Pacific Standard Time, 6:15 p.m., then you can simply go there, hit the link in the email. Just make sure, unlike Chewy, that you start hitting refresh on your page, because if you just sit there, your browser only refreshes so often and you won't hear it go live. So just every minute, hit the refresh button on your browser. And that way, we're usually within 5 minutes of when we're supposed to go live. That's how you handle that. There's also a new app. It's not a new app. It's free. It's on the live page. If you want to chat on your mobile device or your iPhone, of course, you can just chat right from the live page. It's embedded. However, I put 2 links there. There's also a free app from Chatwing, which is the service I use. I just embed it in the live page. You can go there to the live page. There's an app for iOS and Android. It's free. You can download it. It makes for a little nicer chatting experience if you're on one of those mobile platforms. Of course, if you are, you can still just chat from the live page. I'm just saying it's a little bit nicer experience. But anyways, with that, let's get right into the content. Do you have any opening statements that you want to talk about there, Jake, before we just dive in balls deep?
I think we just need to get going. It's just one episode left, man. I don't know what I'm going to do when this show's over.
Somebody just did a Chatwing live test. Why don't you go ahead and I'll just say loud and clear.
Loud and clear from Korea.
All right, so we're going to talk today about Sons of Anarchy, episode 12. We've only got one more episode to go, Jake. Are you sad?
I am sad. I want to see how it ends, but then again, there'll always be something to watch, but this show's been a phenomenon.
It has really, really a phenomenon. This particular episode, they're only going to go to episode 13, and that's going to air next week. And I don't even know the date. Let me pull a calendar up here.
The 9th.
So as Jake says, the 9th will be the season finale. Hopefully it's going to be a 2-hour episode.
That'll be nice.
They usually do on the finale, and I can't imagine the season finale not being a 2-hour episode. The particular episode that we're covering tonight, Jake, aired on December 2nd, a couple nights ago, 2014, titled Red Rose. And I think we know why. Do you know why?
Oh, I know why.
Go ahead. Tell the audience why it's named Red Rose. It's all you.
Titled Red Rose because of Gemma's red demise in the Rose Garden.
And her dad, who she went to the nursing home, who has Alzheimer's, called her Rose or something, didn't he?
Right. He thought she was Rose, and I think, was that the name of her mother?
Good call. I don't know.
He kept calling her Rose. You're my Rose.
Yeah. And so that's where that red rose come from. Although I'm not going to lie to you, I don't think she was a rose. Do you?
No. Far from a rose.
Pretty sure she was not a rose.
Ding dong,
The witch is dead.
I'm going to play. I can't stop playing that. It's just so peppy.
Ding dong,
All right. Enough of that. That's just ridiculous. Jake, keep me on track. All right. So we pick up right back this episode, Jake. We pick up right where Jax and the Mayans are in the warehouse facility. This is on the heels of Jack having an APB back in episode 11.
Right, put out on him for assaulting Unser.
Correct. And he ends up hijacking the car, gets in a high-speed pursuit, right? And he ends up at the Mayans facility, this warehouse.
Right, and he's just getting up out of bed when this thing starts.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's where we pick right back up with this particular episode, guys. And he slept there apparently after running from the cops. He wakes up. He knows he's got the APB on. The crew and Marcus Alvarez meet him here. So Sam Crow, Tiggy and Shibs and all that, they meet him here. And very interesting. We got to talk about this a little bit.
We do.
When he got up,
he got to hardly put weight on one of his legs.
his left leg, to
His
be
left,
exact.
his left
Damn it.
leg. You're exactly right. It was his left leg, and he started.
I
He
don't.
started to get up, and then it's like he was hurting, and then what was it? Chibs asked him, or was it Tig that asked him what's going on, and he said he didn't know.
So we got in the chat room here. If you're looking, I want to talk about that, Jake, but Experimental Ghost, who's a very, very supporter of the show, he just became a Patreon. Shout out Experimental Ghost. Yo. He says Rose was her mother. See how this chat works, dude? Is that awesome? These listeners, I mean, they know this show.
That's what I thought from the conversation. Yeah.
Did you say that?
Yeah. early
Okay,
on.
sorry. Jake said that, and we appreciate you chiming in there, Experimental Ghost. So we did confirm it was his mother. So he did. He limped. There's no reason that as a director or filming that was put in for a extremely important reason.
And it makes an appearance in a few other times too.
Where? I'm not aware of that. Educate me.
Well, I know we're going to get to these parts later, but there's a part.
It's all right. We're going to be all over the place
when
tonight,
he's getting
dude.
out of the van to talk to Unser, you see it appear again.
Are you serious? I
And
missed it,
it's
dude.
small, and then there's another time where he's kind of walking away from Chip.
Are you 100%? Is that a fact? Because I didn't see it. I missed it.
Yeah. Chewy and I talked about it when we watched it. And there's another time when he's kind of walking away from Chibs. When he's getting ready to go north, he says, "I got to go north, take care of family business. It's a family thing." He's kind of walking away from Chibs, and Chibs gives him a look, and it's not as pronounced as a limp as he couldn't put weight on it like initially it was, but you could tell he's looking at him like, what the heck? And so I'm thinking I'm seeing that.
Okay, you guys in the chat room that are listening live, you gotta throw at us a couple predictions. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to have fun with this, Jake. I don't have any legitimate predictions, but I have thought about it a little bit. I'm thinking that Jax, he's got a brain tumor.
Do you think?
Yep, he got a brain tumor, and he's starting, and he knows it.
He does know,
And he
which
knows
is
he's
why
gonna die.
And it's why he's willing to take that step that he takes later on, where he pretty much understood that mayhem had to come down.
Dude, I'm just throwing it out there. If you guys got predictions, I'm saying Jax has a brain tumor, and I know this is out there, but that's what I do here. I put myself on the line and get laughed at by everybody. It's okay. I'm used to it. Because Lurch was right about Gemma getting shot by Jax all along, and I always said she'd commit suicide.
I had a strange prediction on this one, and I thought I was almost close
A prediction on which part?
on who would kill Gemma.
Oh, really? What was
Yeah.
your prediction, bro?
Well, it started last week after the end of the last episode. I kind of thought that Unser might do it, and was kind of rolling down that road in this episode where he was, going up there to keep Jax from doing something stupid, and I thought he might actually do it, but it didn't happen. So I'm glad I didn't bet Chewy on that one.
You thought Unser would do it? No way, dude. I would have never bet with that.
You're probably right. It's just so many weird things that happened, and then Unser finding that out, I thought it might just put him over the edge.
Right. Well, good. I mean, anything can happen. And that's interesting. I hadn't heard that from you. Of course, you hadn't been in the studio for a couple episodes. So yeah, that's my prediction. I'm just going to stick with that. He's got some kind of medical condition, and he knows he's going to die. It just hasn't been revealed to us. I don't understand why unless it's something major, they would show that limp. There's just no reason to show, oh, well, he's got a little hip displacement, and that was a part of the story that he's got some hereditary hip displacement. You know what I mean? This is big.
Well, I had something else that kind of came up on this. It kind of makes me feel like I'm a little bit, having watched this certain part too many times, but I've got a wife.
Yeah, right.
The part at the end where he's having sex with Wendy.
Who's having sex?
Oh, Jax.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's clearly not an injury to that hip area.
He was balls deep in Wendy.
True, but my wife is convinced that
Your
that
wife
left,
was what? I just said balls deep, and you said your wife,
Yeah.
dude.
We're convinced that left leg is stiffer than the other one. Like, it's not quite as mobile. So it's even coming out then. I mean, we're probably reading too much into it, but man,
I don't think so.
there's something going on there.
I don't think so. Tell me this, though. Do you really, like I just said, do you think that the writers and the people filming or the director would put that scene if it was just like, oh, well, we find out in the season finale of Sons of Anarchy that Jack had a hereditary hip displacement What does that have to do with the story?
This is significant.
Thank you.
You're right. There's no reason to put that in. It's significant.
So just let it hang, dude. Just pull it out and let it hang and tell me your prediction. Make some shit up, because that's what we do here.
You know, we
got no credibility.
You said the brain tumor. Chewy and I talked about he's got cancer.
There you go. Same thing.
You know, and you're right. It's something's going on, and you're right. He knows it. That's why he's almost at peace with what's going on.
Yes, I do, guys. That's our prediction here at Law Abiding Biker Media, and we can be made to look fools again. But we're okay with that because we have fun doing it. I'm saying it's a serious tumor, cancer, brain, whatever, and he's starting to show the effects of that. Let's move on from that. Did you see anything in the chat room? Nope. No other bold predictions there except us.
We got Chewy saying he thinks that Jax will end up dying somehow on his dad's motorcycle, or his dad's motorcycle playing a role in his end.
I agree.
And I agree. I don't think that's a bad call, Chewy.
I think Chewy's probably right. I think Jax knows he's going to die. The mayhem vote's going to come down, which we'll get into. He knows the mayhem vote's coming down. He knows all this, but he's going to end up riding that motorcycle off a cliff because he knows he's going to die anyways. He's not going to let anybody else do it. He's just going to...
The Thelma and Louise death scene, huh?
Oh, dude, he's going to just be riding down the road on the motorcycle with a smile on his face, knowing that it's all going to end. He's going to die anyways, either with his ailment or with the club putting the mayhem vote on him, and he's just going to ride into the sunset and ride off a cliff. What say you?
You know, I think it's going to play a role. I don't know if he'll go that far, but yeah, I mean, we've seen some scenes from Next, and there's some things on there that, but you're right, you know, that seems like that's almost a storybook ending to this thing.
I'm going to look something up real quick. Oh, you have a comment on there, Jake?
We do have a comment from Jerry. I'm probably going to butcher the last name. I'm sorry, but Manzanares.
There you go.
And he is saying that he believes Nero is going to kill Jax.
Interesting. Now, if you have any more on that, Jerry, hit us up because I want to know why that you think that. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen.
Nope.
But I don't understand why that would happen. But educate me.
If Nero is still in love with Jem and he finds out Jax killed her, it's a possibility.
Well, he already knows Jax did, though. Nero knew.
He knew Jax was gonna, but does he know Jem is dead yet?
No, but he knew Jax was going to do it. I mean, you saw it on his face, and he wondered when he found out from Wendy. He goes, "Oh yeah, Jax already knows." He knows.
That's why he sent Unser up there, because he knew what Jax would do.
Exactly. So remember what Nero said? That's a wound too deep to heal, mano. Killing your mother, that's a wound you can't heal from.
He did.
That's a flashback to the past, baby, just for you.
And what he told Unser. You know, this isn't about saving Gemma. It's about saving Jax.
Very good. Exactly. Let's get into this big scene, dude. Jax, Rat, Chibs, Tig, Happy, Quinn, Alvarez, and Nero, and Tyler, dude, at the table, hashing over this ultimate takeover and complete control of the streets. I'm not going to lie to you. This got complicated even for me. I took notes. I rewound it many times. I think I've got it in hand and a quick, easy breakdown for the listening audience. Do you want to talk about this at all?
Well, I guess for me, I agree. It was kind of complicated, and let's hear your rundown on what you think what their plan was on splitting it up and making peace.
Good. So here's what I got out of it, Jake. Jump in anytime you want. Tyler will have... Okay, so the Mayans, they want the Mayans to control all the guns.
Correct.
That's clear because they meet with Connor later.
Directly with from the Irish.
Yes. Very good. Tyler and the Niners have subsets, because Tyler says this, in all the neighborhoods, and he can move in quick to kind of take control. They're going to do a overwhelming sweep of the streets and the criminal underground.
And they want to take over the Chinese territory.
Very good. Tyler's really concerned, as we find out later and now, of having triads start moving in on the territory, right?
Right.
Tyler and the Niners, they will have to pay the Mayans. So Alvarez talks about this, you know, and his other guy, I forget his name, but he's the other, I think he's the VP.
Right.
The one that doesn't get along with Nero very well. They kind of have words now and then, but he is very not concerned, but he's like, yeah, you can do that. You can control the guns. You can move into Stockton, but you're going to have to pay us, the Mayans, a certain cut. Tyler's like, yeah, bro, that's good as long as we get priority and you sell to us first.
And Alvarez agrees. He says, yeah, we can do that.
Seems like an easy deal.
Right.
So everybody's, agreeing. Nero's not in the game anymore. And this was a very cool scene because Nero's at the table, but remember, he's going to go drive a combine on the farm. I'm not saying he's going to drive. I always said that. He's going to go to this farm. He's going to be doing something. He's going to be
milking goats.
Yeah, milking goats and baling hay. But Tyler says, as long as he gets that priority, he's good with this. Nero's sitting there. He's got his new leader there of the Biz Lats, and that was the name of Nero's street gang, and they're still in existence. The Biz Lats. It's a Latino street gang that were run by Nero. He's got his new leader there, whose name is Fiasco.
Is that who it is?
Yeah, if you didn't catch that. Yeah, Fiasco.
Okay.
That's a cool street name. You want to come at me, bitch? Want to come at me? My name's Fiasco. What do you expect? Does that sound tough? No?
It does.
Oh, all right.
We'll create a fiasco if you want.
Yeah, I'll create a fiasco on your ass. But anyways, he's sitting there next to Nero. Mayans say that they can take care the 222. So Nero is not in the game, and he wonders, though, and so does Fiasco, about Stockton. Want? Yeah, control, since he's stepping down. The 222s, we find out, will be moving in. This is what they're concerned about. The 222s will be moving in on the Bizlats, and the Mayans and Alvarez are like, don't worry about it. Say, we can take care of the 222s. We don't like them anyways. Mano. But in return, they want the Bizlats to push their dope. So the Mayans are like, yeah, we'll take care of that little problem for you, but we want to start pushing our dope, pushing it east. And Nero's like, no, bullshit. We have never done that. In return, we've never went down that road. And Nero doesn't like it. He doesn't like the idea. The new leader, Fiasco, says, we got to survive. We got to survive, Essay.
But you're gone, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you're gone, man, you're retired, basically. We got to survive, Essay. And he's like, we're going to do it. And Jack says he will handle Borowski. We got to see how he's going to handle Borowski. That's going to be interesting. And we'll keep him in the dark. The way I understand that, Jake, is I don't think for some reason, he's still keeping Borowski alive right now, and he's just keeping him in the dark and not telling him stuff.
He's got a plan, and I wonder if some of the scenes I've seen from Next, we can probably talk about later. I wonder if that'll come into play.
Yeah, I do have some interesting predictions on that. But to finish up this little meeting of this whole power thing and this takeover of the criminal underground in the streets, Tyler says the Chinese power base is gone, but they still have a stronghold. He's very concerned. They've already been reaching out down south, says they need to shut them down soon. Jax kind of backs off and says, listen, we'll figure that situation out. That's cool. Pipe down, settle down. As soon as we nail down this gun thing, as soon as we nail down the guns to the Mayans and with the Irish, we'll deal with your Chinese problem. We'll deal with the triads moving in. And the very last part, Jake, is Jack says he needs everyone's word. Now, they didn't sign a contract, and we're not too sure what anybody's word means anymore. Not going to lie to you. What does that mean in Sons of Anarchy? I give you my word.
Well, it doesn't mean anything for a lot of them. I know even Jax has broken his word.
Like every freaking episode, but they all give the criminal nod. We're all in.
It's all about honor, bro.
It's all about being inner, not honor. Oh, sorry. That's ridiculous. One for me, dude. All right. So Nero and Jax, let's go to this. So that whole scene, to sum it up, guys, hopefully that broke it down for you, because there's been some emails that I got. A lot of people were confused about that scene, so I really wanted to take a little time with it. Hopefully you understand the power struggle and the takeover that's going on. Now, Nero tells Jax he's headed to Norco, which is Northern California, right? Or something like that. Yeah, for a few days.
Right, and I think, that's where he's bought that farm.
Okay,
with
right.
His half of the Diosa money.
Okay. Now he's going there to get this house set up, right? With ramps for his kid. His kid has that ailment.
Spina bifida.
Spina bifida. Say that 3 times. Spina bifida, spina bifida.
I don't think I could.
What else can you tell us about him getting tools and stuff here?
Well, there's questions we got on the chat here.
Oh, yes. Pipe in.
And I know it's coming a little later, but we'll probably address the homeless lady later when we talk about Vic from The Shield making an appearance. But you remember when Nero gets something from the garage in the
tools.
House? Well, he says he's getting tools, but is that what he's really getting? Or this is what Winston from, I don't know where Winston's from. Winston Saldivar is asking.
Yeah, he's in the chat room a lot. I like him.
What did he get from Gemma's Garage?
What do you say? Answer that question. I don't know.
I don't know. It's clear he's got something in there, but what is it?
Well, he said he was getting tools.
Yeah,
was he legitimately getting tools?
My opinion, I do not think he was just getting tools. There's something else going on there, but what could it be?
Wow. And I'll be quite honest, I didn't think into that one very much because I maybe a little bit dumb and ignorant. I didn't raise any suspicions to me in that scene. That's me personally. So if you have any ideas, you're going to have to go with that, Jake. I honestly took that at face value, however ignorant that may be. Do you have any ideas? Throw them out there, dude. This is the platform.
Well, from Winston from Amarillo, Texas, he's saying.
Hey, Winston, what's up, buddy?
My dad lives down there, actually. Nice.
He's a great guy, Winston. Good supporter of the show.
I do think that he was getting something different. Part of the reason I think that is because Wendy he said he's going out there to, get tools and shit. When he's like, yeah, you look like the handyman well, that wasn't the exact word, but something like that. So they even drew a little more attention to it. And I know I probably read too much into it, but
maybe this was out there. Because him and
Winston's-
Wendy, maybe this was out there. Maybe Wendy left her vibrator out there.
Ooh, yes.
All right, sorry. That's so immature. Go ahead.
But I do think it was something else, and that's what but what it is, I don't even know if he gave a hint of what it was.
So basically, guys, Jake, he doesn't have a prediction.
No, but it was something different. Even Chewy agrees here on the chat.
Okay, well, good. Well, Chewy, you better man up and just tell us your prediction instead of just saying he got something suspicious. That doesn't fly in the court of law, Chewy. All right. Poor Chewy. Dude, you can hear him all the way across. He's lives 10 miles away. I can hear him from here. All right, so good, guys. If you have anything, pipe up. And also leave your comments at lawabidingbiker.com/SOA16. You can comment. If you're listening to the podcast later, you can comment right there about your predictions. Let's talk about this. The whole vibrator thing, I got to bring it up because it got me sidetracked. The vibrators do that when they're in my ears like that, dude. We got headphones on and that vibrator was really loud. Now, I am not going to lie to you. And I got a little horned up, dude. I already think Drea De Matteo, who plays Wendy, is hot. Now
Oh yeah, that began when she was in The Sopranos, man. I hear you.
Oh yeah, when she was with Chrissy.
Oh yeah,
remember?
Yeah, I do.
He played a great character, and she played Adriana. Now, if you guys look her up, Drea De Matteo, you in the chat room or listen to the podcast now, look it up. Google it right now. She has some hot ass pictures. I will tell you that in Sons of Anarchy, they dumbed her down and made her look like trailer trash on purpose. They really did.
Until this season, they're starting to bring her back.
But what happened, Jake, on this episode? I'm not going to lie to you, dude. I had little lovebirds flying around my head.
Me and Chewy
tweet.
Me and Chewy were commenting on that the entire time.
Before,
oh, damn.
Before at the very end when Jax came out or she comes out and he's sitting on the sofa, dude, she looked different than she's ever looked in this series. They did makeup. She was in the little white negligee.
I think they finally let her look like she looks.
Dude, I'm just saying right here in the studio, Jake's staying away from me. All right. But they put her in the little white negligee. They made her look all hot, dude. That's all I got to say. And they really dressed her up. And I don't know, but anyways, Jax took her and just rode her hard, dude. I've seen too much of his quenching butt cheeks lately.
Yeah,
Jax.
I know that our female fan base out there would definitely not agree from what I've heard, but I could go the rest of this season, granted one episode, and not ever see that again.
Me too. I don't want to see Jax's butt. Why don't they I want to see Drea's butt on top of him.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to see Jax's pumping, quenching butt cheeks. Now, we were eating dinner, Jake, and it's not anything to be ashamed of, but you told me that you're a guy and all, but that for a guy, he had a hot ass. Did you not?
I said I didn't. Well, I do like his tattoos.
Jake is like, you didn't say that? Did I misunderstand?
I think we misunderstood that.
Dude, Jake's just looking at me like I'm all serious, and then I say that, and he's like, "You son of a bitch! Why would you do that on the podcast?"
The live one too.
Right, live. Yeah, you can't take that away. I could edit that out of the regular podcast. Yeah, no, everybody live just heard that.
Yeah, somebody heard that.
All right.
We had another comment on what Nero might have been getting.
Speak to me.
09 Fatty MS.
Welcome, 09 Fatty
welcome.
MS.
He said he had to go back to TM for more tools because he had a lot of fixing to do. Well, that was when he was going to talk to...
He did, though, but that's a good point.
Yeah, he did say that, but that was when he was going to contact Unser to go get him after Jax, because he knew Jax was going after Gemma.
He was just lying to Wendy, because he's like, yeah, I'm going to TM to get more tools. I don't need to have time to explain. I'm going to get Unser because I think Gemma's going to die. I don't think there was any significance to that other than he just needed to get out of there and not tell Wendy what was going on.
I do think there's some significance about something in that garage, though.
There you go. Everybody does, but nobody's making any predictions. All right.
Well, our Chewy says he doesn't know what it is, you jackwagons.
Thanks, Chewy. Whatever. All right. I think I heard Chewy in the past, too. He actually texted me when we were watching that episode. He's like, dude, I'm a guy and all, but if I was homosexual, I would just be all over up in Jax's business. Didn't he text you the same thing?
Oh, I was with him. He said it in person.
Okay, I thought so. All right, there you go. Chewy's going to be texting here like, you frickin' morons. All right, so we're over the tools thing unless anybody has predictions. I stick into my prediction. I don't think it had any significance other than it was he left for a minute and then there was another scene and then he came back, but I'm probably going to be wrong like usual. Nero says they come down, and you brought this up, right? He tells Wendy you didn't bring this up. Another point I was talking about. This is where he comes back in and he's talking to Wendy. He wants to take him, right?
Well, did we get to the point here on our notes where Jax actually tells Nero, hey, why don't you, when he's leaving, why don't you take Wendy and the kids with you?
Oh, remind me where this was.
This was right after that big meeting, and Nero and Jax are kind of having a discussion.
Oh, yeah.
It's before Nero goes back and talks to Wendy and this whole we go in the garage thing.
That's why I got you here, dude. Keep me on track. I get so sidetracked when I start thinking of Wendy.
Yeah, and so he's, hey, take him down there. And he's, are you sure? And then he starts saying, there's a lot of things for him to do. There's goats and horses and stuff down there for him to do something.
Right. And so this is something I want to bring up. You guys are going to see this, and I know that a lot of you saw it throughout the episode. And the directors and the writers specifically did this, and I know that they did for a fact. He talks about taking, and Jax wants him to take the boys down there, right?
Right. Which I think plays into your prediction even a little further. He wants them.
Yes.
He thinks, first of all, they might be in danger, but second of all, let's, almost like we're starting another life.
Right. And Nero says they can come down whenever they want. Very specific scene. Jax says, I hope they do. And what is wrong with that sentence? Not, I hope I do. I hope they do is what we're going to get into, Jake. As we go further here, Jax is on his way out. What he meant by that statement is, I won't be around, but I hope they do. I want you to father them. I want you to be a role model for them. I want them to go down there. After he makes that statement, Jake, he has a very peaceful, strange, boy-like smile on his face.
He seemed to have that even on his face when he first got up that morning when that first episode started. He seems to be at peace almost the entire time except for his confrontation with Gemma. I would agree with you.
Even then, you're right, he cried, but you're right. So he had this smile on his face, this at peace.
Even when he meets with, it'll work out. Trust me.
Right.
It's going to work out.
When he talks to Chibs later?
Yeah.
Right.
And with the group, it's going to work out.
And every time he does it, even later when he did it with Chibs, Jake, Chibs noticed it because it was an actor thing. And he was like, you can see Chibs like, okay, what the F is wrong with you? Because you're peaceful. And after he did this with Nero, you even see in the scene, Nero looks at him and he's a bit perplexed because he pauses for a minute and he looks at him, almost turns his head a little bit like, what do you mean by I hope they do? And what do you mean by that shit-eating grin on your face?
And I think that they've tried to bring in the fact that Jax is almost looking at Nero as a father figure half the time.
He is. And in fact, Jax says he really appreciates Nero looking out for the boys. He says, I really appreciate you looking out for him, boy. He puts out his fist. Remember this? Puts out his fist like, bro, you're my man. And they fist bump, and then they do the big, huge bro hug, dude. And it was a real endearing type hug. And this is what I'm saying. Jax is on his way out, man. I'm going to predict that through this episode as we spit this podcast at you. There's a lot of indications, overwhelming amount of indications that Jax is on his way out. He knows he's on his way out. He's starting to be at peace. He's trying, in my opinion, and you can jump on this one, Jake, he's trying in everything he's doing in this episode to set up the street gangs, to set up his club, to make sure everybody's set, to set up his boys, to set up Wendy, to set up Nero as the father figure. Every bit of stuff he's doing
to try to bring peace and protect the organization.
Yes, totally, man.
And he says that at one point later too.
So he's basically like, getting his affairs in place, like somebody who knows they're dying are. Now, I have had family member, my father passed 3 years ago of cancer, but he knew he was dying, and he set everything up with affairs, getting everything in place. So when he passed, mom would be taken care of and all that kind of stuff. And so I see Jax doing this, that he's totally getting all his affairs in order.
It does seem like that, doesn't it?
I
didn't really look at it that way, but I think that, you're right, because it's almost like he accepted something in this episode.
Totally. And I want to get a little bit deeper into that prediction when we get to the killing of Gemma, because there's something interesting, and a lot of people think that he just killed her for revenge because he's pissed. I'm going to tell you, Jake.
Yeehaw.
There
Or
you go.
ding dong.
Ding dong.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Now, he killed her,
Witch, old
Jake.
witch, the wicked
There's
witch.
more to it than just
Ding
revenge.
dong, the wicked
But I'm going to hold
witch
that.
is dead.
So-
Yeah. What she says too. is
Yes.
You sleepy
We just can't get into that
head,
scene yet.
rub
So let's move on, and we'll bring that up a little bit later. I just wanted to note it so that we don't forget it. So here we are, Juice. He's in the infirmary, dude. Juice has been railed in the ass more than any man should ever have to be railed in the ass, if ever.
And Marilyn Manson's a scary motherfucker too.
It's not Marilyn Manson, it's Manson.
No, that's
Did you watch Anarchy afterwards?
no.
Yeah, so
I didn't watch.
they're bullshitting at the table, and Paris Barclay, who's the director,
Right.
he's the main director, he goes, somebody called him, so we have a scene with Marilyn Manson. He goes, it's not Marilyn Manson, it's Manson. So he makes everybody call him Manson. He won't let him call him Marilyn on the set. It's Manson. Is he embarrassed of his first name?
Yeah, that's weird.
It was funny, dude. I noted that. It's Manson. So all you out there, if you see Marilyn Manson, call him Marilyn, because he doesn't like it, apparently. So Juice is getting just railroaded in the infirmary, right? Why don't you set this up, Jake? You remember this with the Chinese and all this? Break it down. Break it down.
It starts off and he's sitting on this bed and asks when he's going to get out, and then that one black female guard says something to him, and he's like, "Did I ask you, Oprah?" or something like that. That was actually kind of funny, I thought. But then what happens is this dirty guard, what do we call him, Allegro?
Yeah, it's Allegro. That's the guard. He's a white guy, but
the dirty guard brings in, he says, just sit tight, and then he brings in all these Chinese guys. And Juice sees him, and he's thinking, oh man, they're gonna kill me. Well, these guys, he calls him Jackie Chan again. He's trying to be funny. He's kind of the comedic relief. But anyway, they know he killed Tully. They know he killed Lynn, and they also know that Tully helped him kill Lynn. And so they think he's going to kill him, but he says, there's something else we need you to do. But first,
But didn't he say, and maybe you said this, he can't understand why after you killed for your club, the Chinese guys, what I can't understand is you killed for your club. Why would they put a green light on your ass?
Yeah, and he says something, I don't know exactly what he said, but
he goes, well, he said,
something like that.
Right. Well, what he said is, Sam Crow getting you to do their dirty work again, and you don't even know it, you fool.
Right. So then they tell him they're not going to kill him, but there's something else they need him to do. But first, he's got some, buddies that have been in there for too long, and then he ends up getting ass raped.
Mm-hmm. Relieve a little stress.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that guy is just railing him, that Chinese guy from the rear.
Oh, yeah. And he said, come get her. What does Juice tell him? Something like that.
Yeah, he's like, have at it or something, doesn't he?
Have at it, yeah.
Yeah. Juice is just like, he's just like giving up. You know what I mean? That's what I got from that scene is Juice is just like,
I think Juice knew that he was done when he told Jax the truth.
Right.
He knew then.
Yep. But he doesn't want the Chinese to do it necessarily.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you. When he was offered the opportunity, he chose the other route.
And so they end up in the chow hall right after he gets ass raped.
Yeah, I think that comes a little later, but yeah, he ends up in the chow hall.
And it does, but what I'm trying to do is just keep it in perspective. So yeah, later in the show, but technically...
He ends up in the chow hall and asks to talk with Tully alone. And ends up telling Tully they know that I killed Lynn and that you helped me. And so, well, you're still alive. You survived it kind of thing. And he says, yeah, but that's because I'm supposed to kill you.
Right, yeah. And didn't he say...
Well, you've lost the element of surprise.
Yeah, I love it, dude. He's got a few little comedic lines in there that they've given him, which is funny.
So then Juice ends up giving him the weapon to kill. So Tully could kill Juice, gives him a scalpel, and just kind of looks at him with the resigned look and, says, just let me finish my pie.
Dude, he did. It was like cherry pie or something.
Oh,
didn't
he? And they kind of show him slowly eating it, and when he finishes, Tully kind of gives a signal, and then some of the other Aryan Nation guys end up getting into a fight to distract the guards, and Tully takes care of business. Juice stands up, turns away, just kind of with an accepted look on his face, and Tully takes care of it and stabs him in the neck.
Right, because they start a commons area brawl, right? And now, you may have mentioned this, but he was concerned because he told Tully, hey, you're not going to be good with Sam Crow. If the Chinese are going to kill me and I'm supposed to kill you, I know you mentioned this. I'm just putting it in my mind.
I don't think I mentioned it with, that you're not going to go to the club if they do it.
And so here's a knife. Right. And he gave him the razor.
Here you go.
Right. And so he's basically, number one, he doesn't want the Chinese to kill him.
Right.
Number two, in the weirdest way, Jake.
Didn't he die a member?
Well, no.
That's a question, because Chewy asked me that question too. Did he die a member? Did they ever vote mayhem on him?
Well, yeah. I mean, technically no, but Jax went to him and told him, I'll make it quick. Last episode, right. You're going to die.
The club had sanctioned his execution. So okay.
Yes.
So you're right. You're right there.
He wasn't ever a member, but here's the sick, twisted part of that, Jake, is he wants Tully to kill him. He doesn't want the Chinese. He would rather have Tully kill him. So in some weird way...
He still has some loyalty to the club.
Thank you.
I mean, he wanted back in anyway. That's why he went and did the whole Lynn killing.
Right, but and even to his last dying breath, he's still throwing a bone to the club and not letting the Chinese and giving Tully, the you are the hero for the club kind of deal.
Right.
And it's interesting because that was a scene and it was very particular about, let me just finish my pie. And Kurt wrote that in. I listened to him talk about it. And the way they wrote that in is because they wanted it to really be Juice knowing that he's going to die and that one of his favorite things is pie. And apparently there had other been scenes I can't remember in past episodes where he likes pie. Do you remember any of those in past seasons where he likes pie? Because they said that was Juice's, that he liked that. And so it was his last little taste of this life and on his palate. And then, that was his last little bit. So
that, I don't remember that, but you're probably right. And I just got a text from Chewy here and he is adamant that Juice was a member.
Okay.
And didn't and was not voted out. He died a member.
No, well, I don't know. We didn't see it, but I don't think he died a member. I'm going to disagree with that. But thank you, Chewy. That's a good thought. I don't know that it matters that he died a member or not. Really, in the scheme of things, what does that, Jake, do you know why that would pull or have any significance? I don't care if he died a member or not.
No, I don't know. It might view how the club would view him in the future, but with this show ending, we're never going to know.
He's dead.
You know, you're saying, he did go out throwing a bone to him still.
I guess my point is it really has no significance to me whether he went out a club member or not. It really doesn't change the show or anything about it.
We have another comment from Winston here. It says, Juice went out like a bitch compared to Opie.
Oh, yeah, totally.
I would agree with you there.
Totally. And if you heard my opener, you heard the opener
I did
that I played in that whole poem.
That was Jax.
That was in season 6 that I pulled that poem for. Of course, it was me, but right. I read that poem, or that little monologue, I should say. That was a monologue. And I missed those this season. They used to do a lot more monologues.
They did.
And I really liked the writing in those monologues where Jax would talk about riding and the freedom of motorcycles and then those kind of things. So I pulled that from season 6. The interesting part of that monologue that I did was right after Opie died. If you guys want to take it back, if you want to throw back.
You talked about losing the best friend. That's what I thought exactly.
And that was the very next episode after Opie died. That's taking it back, man. We miss Opie.
We've also got another comment from a Pete Lanzone. Jax is going to go out like his dad. And what about the part regarding the bylaws? Says he has his hunch about what he meant when he said that. Why don't you let us know? I'd be very interested to see what your hunch is, Pete.
Oh, you ready to get into that? Because I know.
Well, I'm going to
speak.
I don't know if we go there yet, or do we want to wait till we get there on the notes?
Well, the prediction. Yeah, let's wait till we get there.
Okay.
Because I have some good insight, and I'm actually going to give Chewy props because we were texting late last night, and you were with Chewy, so you might have the same insight. Are you thinking what I'm thinking on the bylaw, Jake?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Right now, other than
perfect. So you don't know. So it was me and Chewy that were talking.
I don't know.
Stay tuned there, Pete Lanzone, because you're gonna flip. You're absolutely gonna flip, and all you listen to the podcast in the future here, you got to stay tuned because you're gonna flip. Because I am so confident on this prediction of what that bylaw is. Oh, hang on, because you should be on the edge of your seat. It's exciting, dude. I get excited about this shit.
Nice.
All right, so let's talk about Sam Crow, the Mayans, and the Irish sit down. And let's listen in on what they had to say, Jake.
Obviously, things have changed with Marks. He's going to make bail tomorrow, but he's going to be too hot to run your weapons.
He's not the only one. After your war on the Chinese, there's enough heat in Oakland to melt an ATF badge.
We have a solution for that. Mayans will distribute. They own the port in Stockton. You can base there. Alvarez will be your new dealer.
Do you have any respect for me, Jax?
Of course.
Then why you treat me like a fool? I know your beef with Lynn pissed off Marks. He killed Bobby, and you took out his hit squad. I also know the anonymous call that got him arrested most likely came out of Charmin.
That was club business. It had to be handled. You've been there, Con.
I have. But my organization bent over backwards to get you that volume of guns for the big expansion. And the man that set it up is the same man who burned it down. Now, how do I tell that to the Kings?
We deal guns to organized crime. The business model changes with the street.
Well, I'm tired of this change, Jackson. I'm tired of it. I don't want anything to do with this. Rourke's in town. We'll bring it to him.
And what's he doing here?
Whining and dining the Port Authority.
But I can tell you this right now. The Kings won't like this. And I'm afraid your Mexican solution, well, that ain't gonna land on his feet. Let's go.
That's bad news, Jax.
If we don't get the guns, means we're gonna want most of Lynn's turf.
And that won't make Tyler very happy.
No, it won't. Let's hear what the Kings have to say. You figure it out from there, okay?
There ain't nothing to figure out, is it? If it's no, you gotta step back. Oakland is not your problem. We'll settle it with the Niners. You let me know.
All right, I think this is a pretty important scene here because we're really starting to see how important this gun business is to this whole agreement. Because the Mayans, clearly what Connor's saying is he doesn't really trust Jax, doesn't trust the Mayans based on what's happened in the past. This deal's fallen through. He says he's still going to take it to the kings there and I guess submit Jax's request, but he's kind of leaving it like, you know what, I'm not going to support you, Jax. And, Jax is going to kind of wait and see what happens. But the Mayans, Alvarez makes it clear that, it's like you said, if it doesn't happen, then we're going to have problems because we're going to want the turf that the Chinese gave up, which is also what they kind of agreed to split up with the Niners with Tyler. So he's almost talking like, hey, if this gun deal doesn't go down, we're going to be at war with Tyler. And if that happens, Sam Crow needs to step back.
Right.
And that's not your problem anymore. Because if you can't get the gun deal done, you better step back in Oakland because there's going to be problems and we'll deal with the Niners. And so it really puts a lot of pressure on this deal going down with Connor or with the Irish.
Interesting statement in that little audio clip was the fact that Connor said, where O'Rourke's in town. O'Rourke, if you guys don't know, to clean that up, is one of the kings.
Right.
One of the Irish kings. But what's the most interesting thing about that, Jake, is he says, where's O'Rourke? Because he says O'Rourke's in town, and Chibbs goes, what is he doing in town? Connor says he's whining and dining the Port Authority. Is that Borowski?
And that might...
I was trying to think
that might
dude.
be part of why Jax hasn't killed him yet. Because Jax may know something there.
Dude, good call.
I might be reading too much into it, but you know what? That makes sense.
Right, because that's the first thing that came to my mind is O'Rourke's with Borowski whining and dining the Port Authority, and he technically is the illegal. He controls the ports, but he was worried about the Mayans. So here it is, guys. To bring a little light to this, we see through this episode, Borowski was in control of the ports. We wonder why, and we listen to it later when all the presidents are doing the mayhem vote, basically, on Jax. He didn't believe it was Borowski that sold him out, and why he thought it was Jury, because Borowski had too much to lose. He had a lot of money, and he had a good gig there. But Jax says the reason he believes they sold him out is because he saw the writing on the wall and that the Mayans were moving in, and he wanted to cash out before the Mayans could move in on controlling the port. Does that make sense, Jake?
It does.
And so that was a key point I wanted to bring up, is that's why we believe Borowski, there's nobody really knew. We're all like, why did Borowski sell him out? Yeah, he got a little money. The reason is because Borowski was ahead of Jax to some extent, and he knew, oh shit, my reign and the port is about over. The Mayans are moving in. I'm going to cash out big. And he got paid big by the triads to give up the location of the guns.
Wow. Yeah, that's good insight. That's positive. Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's what I wanted to make sure and talk about that little point. So they find Connor and, oh yeah. So basically O'Rourke, this is a later in the episode, but it all falls in line. So let's talk about this a little bit. They later, O'Rourke needs Sam. Okay, so they meet, right? Don't they go to the bakery or something?
Yeah, O'Rourke calls and tells them, hey, we want to meet. So they go.
Okay.
And once they get there, they find, it looks like one of Connor's guys is tied up. And there's another one dead on the ground.
Right. And Connor was getting, I think Connor was getting basically power and money hungry. That's what this O'Rourke tells Jax. Right. He's like, what the fuck just happened here? And he's telling him, yeah, Connor was getting, this is a weird spin. I have to admit, I didn't expect this.
It's almost like Connor's trying to take off on his own and do his own business. And the Kings are like, we're not putting up with this bullshit. He's making calls that we didn't give him the authority to make. And he's doing stuff on the side, keeping profits or a chunk of the profits to himself.
Right.
And so they pretty much greenlight Connor to the club and say, we're going to take care of you. We'll honor this Mayan deal if you kill Connor for us.
Right. And so basically what Connor was doing, what you get from this conversation is he was taking, we didn't know this because they didn't show us, of course, but he was taking advantage of the fact that the streets were a mess because of Jax, and Connor was doing his little side gig, setting up shit and not telling O'Rourke, and Connor was on the take for all the side stuff while the streets were in chaos. All right, so let's talk, Jake, about the scene, which was kind of interesting at the truck stop. I want to ask you straight up, bro. Did you notice this truck driver, what he was wearing?
Okay, I must not have.
Well, I'm going to tell everybody because you guys probably didn't notice either. He was wearing a Law Abiding Biker podcast t-shirt. That's right. Limited time offer, guys. He got in on the offer. You know how he got in on the offer? He went to lawabidingbiker.com/shirt. That's right. Expires December 15th, 2014 at midnight. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/shirt. Order your shirt up so we can get it out to you guys. It's something awesome. You'll definitely, likely, I put a caution on it, you'll likely get raped by a group of women or men.
Michael Chiklis is our greatest fan.
Oh, and you know, you're going to get a lot of attention of it. Be ready for the attention because you're going to go to biker rallies and stuff and everybody's going to be like, dude, that shirt is so freaking awesome. That's right, guys. The biggest part about the shirt, not only is it cool, you're going to get laid, you're going to be the coolest guy on the block and everybody's going to like you. It supports us, guys, so we can keep bringing this content because we're bringing it to you live and we're doing a lot of extra stuff. So thanks, guys. Enough about that. Again, lawabidingbiker.com shirt. It does expire, guys. Now's the time to jump on it. What do you want to say besides the Law Abiding Biker t-shirt that he was wearing there? Jake, tell us about the scene.
You know, the scene starts with her being woken up by sleeping in her car by a truck driver. And for those fans of former Kurt Sutter work, etc., and The Shield, we've noticed the first appearance of our hero from The Shield, old Vic Mackey. And I was extremely...
Vic Mackey?
Yeah.
Tell me about this. I don't know who he is.
Michael Chiklis was the guy, the truck driver, old Milo. And he was the main character.
Chiklis? That's a crappy last name to have.
He was the main character in The Shield. He's also, if you've ever watched The Fantastic Four, he plays the Thing. He was the commish in a different show, but he just, in The Shield, a lot of us, I know Chewy and I are huge fans of that show, and Michael Chiklis was a big part of it. I guess he was the last of the main characters in The Shield to make an appearance in this show. Because, of course, one of the other main ones, Shane, ended up being Venus, old Tig's transgender lover. Then we had Lem, who was an SOA guy that got blown up by a grenade, and he was also in The Shield. And we had one of the other officers, an old named Ronnie. He was in there as well as a federal agent. And then we have the black not defense attorney, but DA was in The Shield as Claudette. So, you know, there's a lot of history with The Shield there. Even a
lot of crossovers, huh?
Oh, even the beginning where old the guy that was stalking Tara was a main character in The Shield.
Oh,
that ATF agent.
Yeah. Well, I can't remember his name.
Even Aceveda was part of the. It was Aceveda in The Shield in Sons of Anarchy. He was one of the guys that was with the CIA that was into the Mexican cartels. So yeah, there's really a lot of crossover there.
Yeah, definitely. Pete Lenzone in the chat room says he's definitely school on that particular FX series and says he's putting a lot of information on here about Aceveda and stuff. So,
well, I watched a thing with Katie Seagal, and she was saying that Vic or Michael Chiklis was the last holdout.
Oh,
and they were trying to get him on there.
Well, there you go. They did it.
He finally was on board, and I guess that old Shane, the guy that plays Venus, really
Venus with a penis,
really wanted on there, but Kurt was thinking, well, if you come on, you're too well known. If we're going to let you on, you're going to have to play such a character that was so far off of what you played in The Shield. You know, if you could be a transsexual. It's like, whatever, just get me on the show.
And he did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
And the best part about it is he was wearing a lab shirt. All right, enough of that. So here's what's very interesting that we need to talk about this truck stop scene. Did you notice? I've talked about it. I talked about it in season 6 on this podcast. I talked about it here. We finally, and I knew she was coming back.
The homeless woman.
The homeless woman at the vending machine. What the hell is that about, Jake? We still have yet to predict what's going to happen with this bag lady.
She's going to play a major role somehow. She's shown up at various times. When he was at the cemetery once, Chewy thinks that she's the mother of one of these little girls that was killed in that. I don't know if it's that was killed in the shooting of that little boy did at the school. And I'm not sure.
Well,
that it is,
no,
but-
she's the one. Yeah, I'm trying to think he believes it's a guardian angel of some sort. That's what he said.
I kind of agree. She's going to play a role.
She's been watching over, though. She's somebody. And I'm trying to remember, and I'm probably going to be wrong, but we've predicted it in the past that she's the mother of the gal that remember she trashed the bikes and threw the rock through their window.
Right.
And then he went to the house. We believe she's still living. And she's now Rat's girlfriend, right? Isn't that the same girl?
That is. Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. You're
so
right,
that brings
you're
it
right.
around. So basically, in last season, she threw the rock. She trashed their bikes because she heard that John Teller, this whole collision scene,
Mm-hmm.
right? Briefly. And so they took her in, basically. Remember, Jax went to the dad's house and he saw the picture.
Right.
I predicted this last season. And he saw the picture on the thing and he's looking and he kind of cocks his head. And that guy was going to lose his house and all that, remember? He was
Right.
in, and so that girl was pissed and she went and threw the rock and all that. And then now she's Rat's girlfriend, but I believe that that's her in that picture and she's still alive. We just don't know it. And I think she holds a lot of information.
Ooh, that's a good prediction.
It's crazy, dude. That's a crazy one. But anyway, she showed back up. Now she sits down, Gemma does with this trucker, and she says her name's is Rose. This is another reason we call the episode Red Rose. She hitches a ride up north. She leaves that car, right? And she gets dropped off at her father's nursing home. She goes in. She can't visit him, right? This was like Gemma. I don't think she's thinking clearly because she won't let her in. And what was interesting is Tara was the last key conservator for
I wonder
her.
what. Yeah, they never really came out and said why, and it might just be because Tara was a doctor and everybody trusted her. That kind
Good
of thing.
point. They just threw that in there.
Yeah, and so it was almost like it kind of worked, but and then she ends up giving them their ID. Hey, I'm this guy's daughter. And so I'm his last living relative, and so she gives the ID almost like she knew that they would check, that she knew this was it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, but she won't get let in to the nursing home where her father has Alzheimer's, right?
Initially, no. They
Initially.
won't let her see her.
But
see him.
She has to give her ID
Mm-hmm.
because they're trying to make some changes. And I knew right there, I'm like, oh, so now they have your ID. They're going to start making some calls.
Which they do.
And we know that they called Wendy, of course.
And dutiful Wendy calls Jackson and says, hey, I know where your mom is. She's up here in Oregon.
Except she wasn't wearing her white negligee yet.
Not yet.
Oh, God. Get me off that subject. All right. She is the only living relative. That's what Gemma says. And she gives her ID. Of course, the calls start going out unbeknownst to Gemma. Oh, God. Here we go.
Do you think I think Gemma knew that those calls were going out because she wasn't surprised that Unser showed up.
Yeah, you're
nor
right.
that Jax did.
She knew she was going to die that night anyways.
Yeah.
She was just
wanted to say
finishing
goodbye.
up business. Good call, Jake. All right. What happens now? This is interesting. Nero, right, races over to Teller Motors. This is right after he leaves the house. It says, I got to go get more tools.
Right. Wendy finds out. Wendy calls Jax, and then Nero shows up, and she kind of lets it slip. Oh, yeah. I found out where Gemma is. So he runs over to contact Unser and begs Unser.
We knew it.
Right.
Oh, God.
Says, go up there and pick her up. And so, Unser's like, why would I do it? Why am I going to do it? And then, I guess let me backtrack a little bit. He initially kind of sounds like he doesn't want to, but then Nero's starting to tell him that, okay, I got to tell you something about Tara. And Unser says, okay, I know. Jax told me I know about Gemma and Tara. And so he says, you got to go up there and save her, arrest her or something. And Unser says, finally, okay, I'll do it. And ask him if he's still, do you still love Gemma? And that's when Nero said, and we talked about it earlier, this isn't about saving Gemma, it's about saving Jax.
Right. And so this is, we obviously see Jax because he finds out.
Right.
Do you remember how he found out, since we're talking about this?
How he found out that Gemma was up there?
Right.
Wendy calls him.
Right.
Wendy calls him and says, hey, and, just so you know, I don't know how she just brought it up. Hey, I found out where Gemma is. She's up north.
They were talking about, hey, we're going down with the boys. Nero wants to go to the farm, right?
She says, I just want to confirm it's still okay, kind of thing, that we take him. Oh, yeah, still take him, Jack says.
Right. So the race is on to get up there. Obviously, Unser makes it first, but let's talk about this. Jax lures Unser at a meeting location. Basically, how this played out, guys, if you didn't get it, is earlier in the episode, Chibs, I think Jax has him make a call to Unser. They tell him there's a broke down car. He grabs the tow truck, right, and meets him over in this alley.
I'm wondering if it wasn't something that Chucky did, because there was some point.
It was, because they said call Chucky.
Yeah, and they said Chucky did it.
Yes.
Jax says good.
Good call, bro.
And
That's
so-
exactly how it happened.
Right.
And so Chucky told Unser, grab the tow truck. They need it, right?
Right.
So break this down.
Well, Jax, Unser
they're in a van there.
Right. Unser shows up at this location driving the tow truck and starts getting out. Say, okay, what's going on? And Jax gets out of this van. Unser didn't know he was there. He's like, oh man, does it take this many of you to take me out?
He really thought he was going to die.
I think he did. And
He
Jax
thought
said-
it was his end.
And Jax says, no, man, I got a lot of stuff I got to take care of, but with this APB hanging over my head, I can't do it. And he points out to Unser, you suckered me. I know what you're doing. You're trying to keep me under wraps so I don't, do something else. And so then he offers, if you take this APB off of me, then I'm going to go ahead and tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you the truth about what happened with Tara. And, Unser's saying the whole time, I promised to take care of Tara. I promised, and that's all I have left. And I've got to find out what happened. And so that's when Jax finally ends up tells him the truth, tells him that it was Gemma that did it, tell him how he knows. And Unser's like, oh, okay, I'll take the APB off. And then he's clearly broken up, gets back in the truck.
Right. And Jax tries to convince him, though, that Unser, hey, I'm about to clean up the whole mess.
Right.
I know this caused a mess. I know the Chinese, there's dead bodies, bro. It's a freaking mess, but I'm trying to clean it up. I'm going to be busy the next couple of days. I need you to take the APB off me.
So
he
I
says
can do
black, white, brown can split turfs. And they're settling all the beefs, man. Come on, Unser. We're settling all the beefs. Everybody's going to be together. This assures an end to the bloodshed, both in the city and in Charming. So that's powerful to Unser, right? Because that's ultimately what Unser's always wanted, is peace in Charming.
And it is powerful. And then Unser asks him, what are you going to do with Gemma?
Oh, yeah.
And he says, I'll take care of it. Take care of it how? And Jax never answers that question. And so that becomes
Good.
what happens in the future.
That's what's weird. And that was a weird scene because Jax never answered because they got distracted.
He gives him a look, but then that's when Chips comes up and says, hey, we got this call. We got to go.
Good call. And then they come back and I'm like, that's bull crap. Because Unser, in a normal situation in real life, would have went, no, I just asked you a question, but he never revisited that question.
Well, and you remember how I said before how I thought Unser might be the one that killed Gemma?
Right.
And it turned out to be completely and totally wrong. With that scene almost made me go that way again, because he's like, I promised Tara I would take care of her. And then he finds out that Gemma killed her, and then he's bawling about it. And I'm like, you know what? He's going to go up there and smoke her.
I get why you thought that, dude. I wasn't there, with that thought, but I get why you would think that if I was in that mindset. That's awesome, man. That would have been the perfect setup for him to do that. All right. So Jax says the truth can't hit the street, right? He doesn't want Unser. He's like, hey, bro, because Unser's like, I got to report this shit, right?
Right. And he's like, if it hits the street, man, it's going to ruin everything I've built, everything I'm trying to fix to bring that peace to the streets, like you're saying. And that's huge for Unser. It's
Right.
going to be chief. It's going to be peace for the club. It's going to be peace for Charming.
And Unser, got pissed last episode because he told Jax, I'm done helping you. I'm done helping your family. Apparently you didn't know the deal. You were supposed to record that little conversation with Juice you didn't record it. Remember this? And he punches him.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So Unser was done helping the family. That's what's big about this. So Unser, in his very last, right before he's going to die here, he doesn't know that, but he promised, based on that deal with Jax, that he was never going to help his family again. Here he is once again being somewhat dirty to help Jax, to help Charming, because he's not going to go tell it like he's supposed to. He's supposed to go to the DA. That's what he says. I got to tell Jerry about this.
The only thing he does is get Jerry to lift the APB.
Right. And we never see Jerry.
No.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. And, I guess it's, it's totally off topic, but those little things that we know are unrealistic, even though they got the APB lifted because he didn't, the assault charges are being dropped. What about the eluding? What about the stealing the car from the guy?
Doesn't matter, bro.
It doesn't. No, not in this.
No, apparently doesn't matter. You're right. So there we go. That's kind of significant as once again, at the very end of Unter's life, he's still caught up in this turmoil of what is right and what is wrong and what he should do. Technically is turn it in, but he doesn't. All right, let's listen into this little clip. This is where Jax meets with 4 other presidents at the table. This is all about the mayhem vote. This is about jury, remember? And they're still conducting this chair or committee, I should say, to decide whether it was justified for Jax to shoot jury. Let's listen right in.
I'm sorry for keeping you waiting.
It's okay. Quinn showed us some redwoody rough cuts. Business is good.
Beats cranking a wrench, huh?
It has its moments. I know you've talked, and you have your recommendation. Before you deliver it, I'd like to say something.
Of course.
I was wrong. We found out from Lynn it wasn't Jury who told the Chinese about the guns. It was Borowski.
How do you know where the guns were?
He runs the port. And Borowski had so much to lose by betraying us, it didn't make sense. I guess he saw the writing on the wall with the Mayans. Looking to cash out before he gets pushed out.
Then how could Jury have confessed to you if he didn't do it?
Because I lied.
Shit.
I was so batting around this idea of revenge. Jury was just one more thing that got in my way.
You guys are still claiming self-defense?
Yeah, he reached for his gun. And maybe he was gonna kill me, maybe not. I never gave him a chance to decide. I love Jury. And I killed him.
You know this means a mayhem vote.
Jesus, Jax. I know the pain you're in because of Tara, and we all understand your need for vengeance. Maybe that fueled this mistake. But what you're saying here is out and out murder, brother.
Yeah.
Mayhem has to land.
I know.
As your charter, we know how much they love you. Your lineage to JT.
Sam Crow needs to know if this vote goes the wrong way. President killing the president sends a dangerous message.
I'll make sure they vote the right way. Protect the organization. But I'm gonna need something in return. There's an unwritten bylaw been around since my old man held this gavel. I want Sam Crow to throw it out.
Yeah. You make sure they vote unanimous, and we'll honor your request.
Thank you. It's been a privilege to wear this president's flash. I'm sorry I couldn't live up to it.
Wow. That was freaking powerful, Jake. You agree?
I agree.
Now we've talked a lot about this. Here's what you guys were waiting for. The live audience is on the edge of their seat because they're asking me about it. Don't forget to talk about it. So we know I had a question today on Twitter, so I want to bring it up. I don't remember who it was, but it's okay. He asked, and this is the simple stuff that we mull over, Jake, that we just are so into this show that we kind of understand everything we think we do. And he asked on a Twitter, can you explain? I get everything, but what the freak is a mayhem vote?
They're voting to kill him.
There you go. And I twittered him back.
And they're basically saying that in this situation, it has to be a positive vote. You can't let this go, even no matter what happens, because it's going to undermine the entire organization if it doesn't.
There you go. And so a mayhem vote is basically a vote to die.
A vote to kill Jax.
A vote to kill Jax. It basically gives the club an authority to kill a member. And that's in their little world, in this Sons of Anarchy, that's a mayhem vote. So
and Jax basically accepts it.
Right.
He says, I know.
In the interest of the club, right? He even says that.
Right.
And he's very at peace, Jake. He's very at peace with this. You can tell. Everybody's looking at him like, did you just really say you shot him? Did you just really tell me that you lied? Did you just really just like give me a full confession? Because the one guy's like, do you even understand what this means, man?
It sounded like the T-1000 was ready to let him off. And then, I'm sorry. The one president that used to be the Terminator.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Like, who you're talking about?
I kept thinking in my mind, he's T-1000 to me. So, yeah, he was like, I can't believe you just said that. You're
right. And so Jax is laying it on the line, and then he looks at the gavel. And he's smiling. He's like, I appreciate the opportunity to wear this flash. And what he's talking about is this president's flash, the patch. And it's just a very peaceful type. And everybody's looking at him like, because they thought there was going to be controversy. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're like, this meeting is going to go like shit, and it's not going to go good. And all of a sudden, Jax is just like, whatever. You guys, yeah, I know what it means. Go ahead and vote. I don't give a crap. I'm good. And this is all part of my Jax is at peace with dying. He knows he's going to die now. This bylaw, Jake, are you ready for it?
I'm ready. I want to hear it.
What is it?
You know, I don't know other than unless it has something to do with his kids. That's the only thing I can think of.
The bylaw has to do with his kids is what you think? This is intense, Jake.
I'm ready. Let's hear it.
Okay, guys, here you go. The bylaw. I will admit that I will give the man, the myth, the legend. Chewy gets credit for this, bro.
Okay.
I was struggling with this late last night while I was preparing for this show today. I was doing a lot of stuff. And we get texting late at night. And I am dumbfounded because I usually have some sort of dumbass prediction. And I didn't have a prediction for this. Here it is. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sure?
As I can be.
We're going to do it like all the reality shows where they sit there with the camera on them for a minute. Like American Idol and all that. Do you know who it is? And they keep panning back and forth. Are you ready? Are you sure? Are you definitely sure that you're ready? Do you know who it is?
You need to go to commercial if we're really going to make it for real.
Let's go to commercial and piss everybody off. Okay. Enough, guys. I know. You're getting pissed now. All right. So the bylaw that he wants changed is simply this. If you go back several episodes in this season, Jax has a conversation with the president of the Grim Bastards.
Oh my God.
I
know where you're going.
You're getting it, aren't you?
Yeah.
And he has a meeting with the president of the Grim Bastards. And he specifically, Jake, asks if he would be interested in patching over to Sam Crow. That president says, that'll never happen. It's in your bylaws. You guys can't accept African-American black members in your club.
And he says, let me handle that or deal with that.
Exactly. He goes, right. And he goes, I'll handle that. Or he goes, yet. We don't allow it yet. And he smiles and he goes, if we allowed black members in Sam Crow, who out of that crew right there, your crew, would you accept? The president of the Grim Bastards says, well, he's not so loyal, but that guy there.
Theo from the Cosby Show was one of them, yeah.
Theo Huxtable. Yeah. So there you go, guys. The next question, guys, are going to ask, well, that's great, Ryan.
Open to races. This is one of our chats here saying they thought that might be what it was, open to races.
Right. The next question, Jake, is, well, that's great. Is that because Jax is a Christian guy and he wants to accept all races? Why is it that Jax is so hell-bent on getting that bylaw changed? I'll tell you. The reason is what did I say earlier? I said everything that he's doing in this episode is to prepare for his death, leave the streets in the control of the proper persons. He simply is doing it because Sam Crow is hurting. They're going to lose him. They are in a big membership. He's simply doing it so that he can leave Sam Crow with plenty of bodies and plenty of power. I don't know that he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart because he wants to, all of a sudden have blacks in the club. Although I don't think he doesn't want them. I just think that, do you have any insight on that? I'm just saying the reason, because that was my question when I was talking to Chewy. I'm like, okay, that's great. And I agree.
I guess my only concern with that is exactly, I kind of think what Mark on our chat line is saying. Jax is saying it's an unwritten bylaw. What was unwritten in that?
What unwritten bylaw? Well, that's what I mean.
That's what he said. There's an unwritten bylaw. What's the unwritten bylaw?
That's what it is.
Just letting anyone come in?
Right. Yeah. They have an unwritten bylaw. They don't accept African Americans. That was clear from his talk with the Grim Bastard. He goes, he never said it was necessarily a bylaw. He just said, well, Sam Crow, that They don't
You're
look.
right. What's his motivation? I mean, I don't know unless
His motivation is that's my prediction, is to leave the club with plenty of power. And they're going to be working with Black, with Tyler, right? And he's going to control the show. I'm telling you, I just think that he's trying to leave the club in good standing with plenty of power and membership.
But one of the things they keep showing is, he's asking his mom, what was Dad's original vision for the club? And she's brotherhood. What does the thing that he asked her for? Do you still have a copy of his old manuscript? And I have to think that ties in somehow. And I don't know if that can somehow tie into that. I don't know. That's what I'm wondering.
Right. That's my look at it. Unless you have something else, I'm just telling you, I think it's...
that makes more sense than anything I have, honestly. I mean, if it's not that, I don't know. I mean, when he said that, I was racking my brain.
Me
Chewy
too.
and I were talking that night, and he probably thought of this after I was there because we just weren't coming up with anything.
Right. So there you go, guys. That's my prediction. And there's some guys in the chat room, and that's some great insight. Winston Salvador, it was clear from the season where Eli threatened to tell the club he was half black. They're talking about, remember back when Juice, they found out that he was black or had a black in him as far as
his dad was black.
And he almost committed suicide and all that.
Right.
That's digging deep. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just don't think it quite goes that deep. That's just my personal prediction. I think it's as simple as him talking to the Grim Bastards and him wanting...
It makes sense, and he promised. And how does that not come back somehow?
Right. I agree. All right, so Jax comes out and tells his crew it's all going to be fine. And he's got that smile on his face. Remember that calm when we talked about this with Chibs? He confronts him. Jax tells him, stop worrying, man. It's all going to be fine.
I'll explain it all, later. But it's going to be fine, trust me.
Right. And this is where that even Chibs looks at him and has that little moment like, okay, you're so calm and I don't quite know how to take you while you're smiling about after that intense meeting. Because they were all, during the meeting, remember that scene? They were all nervous.
Yeah, and then one guy's like, what's going to happen? And Chibs finally is like, stop asking questions.
Right, yeah, stop asking questions, you fool. Right. Yeah. So Unser sits down with Gemma. This is going to tie it up here, guys, and we're gonna get out of here. But Jax meets with 4 other presidents. No, sorry, that's not the scene. This is where Unser arrives at the cabin.
All right, and it shows him ahead of time. Jax is riding his bike, and Unser's riding up in his truck, and he's got his gun and his badge right next to him.
You got to have that.
Got to, I guess.
Yeah, so Unser and Jax are in a race to get to the cabin, although they don't know they're racing each other. But this is weird. Jax sits down. He talks with Gemma. He's calm. She's sitting there looking at pictures. A very calm scene.
Are we talking before? Was Unser still there or no?
Oh yeah, no. Unser showed up first, right?
Yeah, Unser showed up first, and he's talking to her like, "Hey, I didn't know that you were here. I didn't see any cars. Blah blah blah. But I got to arrest you."
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I've
right.
got to arrest you because Jax is coming, and I don't know what he's going to do if he gets here.
Yes. And she's looking through the pictures and stuff, and he goes to call the local authorities. This is where Unser, and she doesn't want to. She's like, I'm not going.
No.
And he's like, okay. So he goes to, opens his little flip phone, his throw phone. So funny they still use the flip phones, even Unser, the old throw phones. And he goes to call the authorities, is what I assumed by him flipping it open. At that very time,
Jax walks in.
Oh, wah, wah, wah. Yep. It all goes to hell really quick. And why don't you take it from there, buddy?
Well, Jax walks in and says, hey, they kind of greet each other. And then Jax tells Unser, I need to be alone with my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And Unser's pretty much like, I can't allow that, man. I'm taking her in. I'm arresting her.
Because he knows if he leaves him, he's going to kill Gemma, right?
And Jax is pretty insistent, but he's calm, just like he's been this whole episode.
Right. With that little smile on his face.
With that little smile. And he said, no, we need to be alone. This is a family thing. And Unser says, I can't do it. Then Unser actually tells Jax one thing that I think is interesting, tells Jax, well, I've already called the Oregon State Police. They're on their way. And Jem immediately says, no, he didn't. Like she didn't want Jax to believe
Unser. That was so
Unser.
funny. I laughed a little bit. She's like, no, he didn't. Like a little kid. No, he didn't. Nope. He's full of shit.
Yeah. So then they end up in a kind of a Mexican standoff.
The Hollywood standoff.
Yes, they're pointing. So yeah, sorry about that. They're pointing.
Either. I don't. Yeah.
Pointing their guns at each other, and this has to be done. We have to talk. I'm just saying, I can't let you do it. It's all I have left.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of lower their guns, kind of look at each other. And I think Jax finally, from what I'm seeing, you know, when Unser tells him, I can't do that, it's all I've got left, Jax kind of realizes, you know, it's either I kill Unser or it's over. And he just raises his gun and shoots him right in the chest, and Unser goes down.
Somebody in the chat room said earlier, and I'm not going to back up there, I apologize that I'm not mentioning your name, but they brought up a good point, and I agree. This was probably the biggest shocker of this episode to me.
Yeah, I
did not ever expect Jax to be the one that shoots Unser.
Yeah. When Juice went, you know, a lot of episodes when stuff happens, I'm like, whoa, that was crazy. That just happened. This was that moment in this episode. When Juice went down, no, that didn't surprise me. It was, but when this went down, holy cow.
I know.
Oh my God, I can't believe. And I think when I was watching with Chewy the first time, I was like, rewind that. I got to see that again.
I know, dude, because you're right, they're lowering their guns, and it's almost like I was like, oh, it's over, and Unser's going to leave or whatever. And then all of a sudden, Jax just, bam, pops him, dude. And yeah, I have to admit, I was a little bit surprised about that little deal, dude. So, all right.
And we do have somebody saying, you know, Unser's had cancer. He's supposed to die from for years.
The cancer can't get him. The cancer Wayne.
He's just too tough.
He's too tough, dude. He's an old guy. He's tough. He's been through the streets. Cancer ain't got shit on him. I'm just saying. All right. So here's where we go, buddy. Just lay this out, and then I'll give you my thoughts on this particular scene. It was interesting. It was calm. She was calm. Jax was calm. It's just like it had to happen.
Right. And they sit down and they start to talk, and you know, he asks her if, you know, do you have a copy of the manuscript? Oh yeah, I do. It's in the storage. You know, it's just almost a normal conversation. And then she starts to talk about how, you know, I love Tara. And Jax says, you know what? Don't. We're not going down that road. And she asks to go, you know, she goes
to a little garden.
Yeah, she acknowledges that and then kind of says, I'd like to go out in the garden. He just nods. They go out there, and she starts smelling the roses, just like her dad talked about when they were in the nursing home. And then he points his gun at her head and acts like he's going to shoot her. And he starts crying. He can't do it.
Did you, though? Let me stop you there, because I want you to continue in a second. Honest opinion, did you think Jax was actually going to do it? I'll tell you, I did not. I did not ever believe that he would do it.
At the point, I'm going to be honest, the point that he killed Unser, I thought he was going to kill her.
Really? Okay, good.
But that was my opinion. Once he did that, before he did that, I did not think he was going to.
Right.
But once he did that, I was like, he's committed.
Because they were so calm inside. Yeah. And I know they talked a little bit, but.
Right. And then, you know, when they're out there and he's doing it, it's almost like he can't do it. I was like, you know what? Maybe he can't, because that's that conversation he had already with Nero. And he's like, you know, that's a wound you can't come back from. That's too deep.
Right.
You know?
And Pete Lanzone makes a statement here in the chat room. I thought Nero was going to show up and stop it. Awesome. I never even crossed my mind.
Me neither.
But see how different people think? That's so awesome.
Because he knew where they were.
Right.
You know, you're right. But then when she said, you know, she gives the whole I love you, Jackson, you know, from the bottom of my heart, or the purest part of my heart. But then when she tells him, you have to do this, it's who we are. That's when I knew, yeah, he's going to do it.
Yep.
You know, and she's his time, and he freaking boom.
So here's my whole deal with this. And this was the song that was playing and in the background while this is going.
Right.
And I'll have a link to this in the show notes, guys, if you want to get the song. But anyways, here's my whole deal and what I've been talking about this whole episode. Jax is preparing to die. He gets it. This is a legacy of his father. This is a legacy of the club. This is problems that his family has endured for several generations. It's
starting the third generation now.
Right, exactly. And he knows. So he's setting up his boys. He's setting them up with Nero. He's setting them up on the farm. He's setting the club up. He's setting the streets up. He's got an ailment. He knows he's going to die. The only way in Jax's mind, and this is me talking, the only way in Jax's mind that he can stop this cycle, this criminal cycle, this death cycle, this whole lifestyle that he tried so hard at the beginning of the Sons of Anarchy series to get the club away from all this stuff. Jax knows number one, he's not going to have the wound of killing his mother because he's going to die soon anyways, right? So he's not going to have to live with that wound. So that's one thing. The next thing is Jax knows the only way to end this cycle is he needs to die and his mother needs to die, because they're the last two in this cycle and this lifestyle. And if they're around, his boys are going to end up, but he knows first my mother needs to die because she's going to continue this with my boys. She's going to continue this club, and I need to die. Once I die, once my mother dies, Unser's dead, this entire thing is done. It puts it to bed. My boys won't be in the club life. It saves everybody, because as long as we're alive, this vicious cycle is going to continue. What say you?
I agree. And somebody in the chat suggested it earlier that part of that unwritten bylaw might be something about not letting his kids be involved. I don't know how that falls into it, but that might be one of those things. We're not letting my boys come back in it. And also on the chat,
this is an interesting one. Did you see this from Mark?
I think it was
David.
It might have been Mark earlier. I see one recently from Pete that says, so for some wild ass reason, I thought Wendy might be the queen. I wouldn't say that's crazy. Both Chewy and I kind of thought that at the beginning of the season. Chewy was making that prediction.
He did. He made that
and so I don't think that's crazy at all. And she may yet be, but.
And so Mark David says, this is interesting, bro. Abel has JT's son's ring. Remember, Gemma gave it to him. Good call,
right.
Mark. So what's that going to mean to him?
And I've even had guys that I hang out with predict that this show's going to somehow end with some kind of future shot of Abel sitting at the head of the table with that gavel.
And so Jax
and Wendy at his shoulder instead of Gemma.
Oh my God, dude. I know that ring, Mark's right. Gemma gave it to him, and Jax is trying to get rid of all that. But at some point, is Abel, when he's 30 or 20, going to pull that ring out of a box? And then all of a sudden, Jax didn't get what he wanted to end the cycle, and his son Abel picks it back up. Oh my God, dude. That was great that Mark brought that up. Oh my God, dude. Now you're changing my mind, Mark. Knock it off.
I know. I do think Jax is trying to separate it. You talk for, he's trying to get out of it, trying to get his kids away from it. I think that is his effort, getting them down to, or up to Norco.
Right.
It's just,
that's his ultimate goal.
He wants to take care of Wendy. And, somebody just pointed out here, I wonder if Jax just got Wendy pregnant.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. But here, Pete in the Lanzone says it's all it. What about JT's manuscript? We kind of glossed over that.
We did. We talked about it.
He asked him about it, but I think, and here's my answer to that, Pete. And thank you for being involved in the chat room, because you bring up good points. Everybody in the chat room does. I really so much appreciate you guys being on this platform. It helps us. But I think the manuscript is only because he read the manuscript up to a certain point, but he stopped. Remember? We haven't seen him journaling and stuff in this season. I think that he only wants the manuscript because he needs to know how it's supposed to end. And he knows he's near the end and he's going to die, but I think he wants to look at that manuscript of his father, of JT, and just read it for insight into his true vision, to make sure that he's in line with everything for the true vision of the club.
You might be, and that's the thing. And we keep in the commercials now for this next episode and stuff like that, or even the, scenes from the past. We're seeing this. Jax asking his mom, what did he talk about? What the purpose of starting this club was? And she said brotherhood.
Right.
And you wonder if he's trying to do something to get it back to that and away from all the criminal portion.
I guess, because here's an interesting point, is in those talks, and this is something I wanted to bring up, and thank you so much, guys, in the chat room, because this refreshes my memory, is, and tell me this, Jake, you want to hear this part, when they sat down at the table at the very beginning and they're laying out the street and who owns what's missing from any of that?
Sam Crow isn't taking it.
Thank you. Sam Crow was never involved, and they never mentioned what frickin'
they're getting out of it.
Thank you. But we glossed over it, and thank God for the chat room. And Pete, he brings that back up. I think it was Pete. Is exactly, dude. is they never talked about that at the table, is Sam Curzon. Now we're talking about the manuscript, and this is what I'm saying. He's leaving the club in good hands, and he wants that manuscript. That's my prediction, is because he just wants to see what his father's ultimate vision, to make sure he's on track with JT's ultimate vision of how he wanted the club to end up. There you go.
Yeah, no, we just have Pete bringing up another point.
Oh my God,
talked about in a long time.
Pete, you're gonna get me going, and you guys are gonna be here till like 3 a.m. Okay, never mind.
You know what? You're right, Pete, because jury did say he thought, you know what, your dad may have killed himself, and he's probably right. A guy who rides motorcycles that much is gonna know if something's wrong.
Yeah, he said jury said he knew anything that was wrong with that pan hit. He knew it like the back of his hand. He'd know if it wasn't running right.
And and that might fit into what you were saying. Maybe Jax is just like this. I freaking had it. Maybe that unwritten bylaw is, instead of killing him, they let him ride off that cliff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm thinking the bylaw. I'm thinking the bylaw is letting the
yeah. You're probably right
bastards.
there. They've got to deal with that. If they just leave that hanging, it'll be weird.
Yep, absolutely. So here we go. Let's finish this up, guys. The ending montage. Of course, Jax is riding home on his street glide. And somebody mentioned in the chat room earlier, what about him on a street glide? You know what? Jax has ridden that street glide, that black street glide, off and on all of season 7 here. Sometimes he rides. In fact, he's ridden that street glide more than he's ridden his Dyna this season. And the rest of the crew pulls up. And here's what we predicted last time, because we saw it in the upcoming, the ending montage last time, is the Chinese street thugs. And here's where Jax is coming through with his promise. Remember, he told Tyler at the beginning, let's get the gun squared away. And once we get the gun squared away, then we'll deal with the Chinese.
And they did.
They
went and took out all the little pieces of different places.
Places
where they had their stronghold.
Very good. They took out the street thugs there in front of the wall. Happy Rat and a couple black guys. I don't know who the black guys were, but they step out of that van. I assume it's with Tyler's crew, and shoot them up. Tyler, Tig, Chibs, Montez, Quinn walk in on that Chinese poker game and shoot them up, of course. Jax is sitting at home taking off his bloody Adidas shoes, we see. Oh, yeah, dude. Here we go. You see, you're getting me excited
Wendy,
again.
Baby.
Wendy comes out looking hot in a wild little white negligee. Oh, God. Oh, Jake. And he starts kissing on her. And, of course, wasn't long before that we see his pumping butt cheeks and he's balls deep. But, although it's a sexual scene and we laugh about it, it was probably Jax's last piece of ass he's ever going to get. If our predictions are right, that was his last.
Right.
And this is going to blow your guys' mind. Going to blow your freaking mind. I think, dude, that she's going to get pregnant from that, and she's going to end up with another kid from him, bro. That's my prediction. What do you think?
That was suggested here from one of
serious?
This was suggested from somebody on our chat line.
I wasn't looking. I'm into this, dude. Really? Who predicted that, dude?
I'm trying to scroll back up, but yeah,
I missed that.
I said good. I think it's Mark.
So my prediction, guys,
Pete did it. I wonder if he got Wendy pregnant.
I think he did, Pete. I think he did.
That's a good call, Pete.
He's going to end up, and we're going to see in an outgoing montage next on the season finale, episode 13, we're going to see her bearing birth to another one of Jax's children who will have no knowledge whatsoever of this shitty kind of lifestyle. Wow. God, dude. What is going to happen? Let's tie this up. We're almost done. Thanks for sticking with us, everybody. All right. A bunch of old clips they played, I noted here, Jake. They played a bunch of old clips of Jax asking Jem about John Teller's vision for the club. It's a montage of old scenes. It's kind of just getting us prepared for the season finale and letting us know kind of what's happened in the past. All right, guys. Jake, any last words? Otherwise, we'll slowly take this thing out.
Are we going to talk about the scenes from next, or are we going to pass on that right now?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the scenes from the next.
I think that the couple things that I thought were interesting on scenes from next were, first off, Jack's talking to the DA.
Yep. He's talking to DA Patterson, right?
Right. Yeah. She was another person from the Shield who annoyed me to no end when she was on that show, but that's a side note for you people who are Shield fans. But he kind of explained to her I won't say he explained to her the terror thing, because it wasn't the Chinese. And then when she asks him, Patterson asks him as he's kind of walking out, well, so what happens now? And he says something like the bad guys lose. And so I'm wondering, that seems to be a pretty telling statement.
Right. And she says, make sure I hear you right. It wasn't the Chinese that killed my wife. Doesn't she tell her that?
Yeah, he tells her that.
Okay.
And then he's kind of getting up to leave. And then, like she says, what happens now? And that's when he says, the bad guys lose.
Right.
And so that's bad. And then I just saw a commercial where there's a bunch of the SOA guys, like Chibs and Tig, standing around, and Jax has their back to him, and they're talking. And Tig asks Chibs, he says, "We really gonna do this?" And Chibs says, "We got no choice, brother."
Right.
And so I almost felt like that's when they're gonna take Jax out. So that, I mean, there's those things. It's just there's so much building up. I don't know what it's gonna be.
Earlier, when they were sitting down for the mayhem vote, remember with the presidents, Jax says that I'll make sure the club votes that way, because they're saying, you know what, this is never going to go if you don't get your club to vote because they really like you. And Jax tells them, don't worry. If you get the bylaw changed, I'll make sure the club votes basically for mayhem on me. And so I don't know how Jax is going to get him to vote mayhem, but it's clear that they are going to vote mayhem. Although I don't think his own crew is going to kill him. I don't think that's...
I don't even think that is that appropriate in that situation, but maybe it is if they're the mother chapter.
I don't know. Good question.
He told them, you make sure that vote is unanimous, and we'll honor your request.
Yep, exactly. And he goes, don't worry, I'll make sure they vote the right way in the interest of the club. Basically, I need to die, and it's the interest of the club. And if you really look into that, when he leaves D.A. Patterson, he says, yeah, what happens now? He goes, the good guys lose, right? Or the bad guys lose. And I think that maybe that's talking about Tyler and the Mayans and Borowski and everybody. Maybe they're all just going to kill each other and the bad guys are going to lose and his club's going to walk away from the criminal life. God, the possibilities are endless, bro. Anything else in those? Like I say, that's pretty much all that they gave us in the ending clips there in the montage for the next episode. Other than that, it was just a bunch of old clips from the past, all the way back to season 1. I mean, we saw some really old clips.
And I think our chat guys have it right. There's a lot to clean up in this last show. There's a lot of unanswered questions.
It's going to be
We'll
crazy.
probably get an answer to 60% of them, but there'll be some that'll be unanswered for a long time.
Right. So you guys make sure and check back. Everybody, whether you're listening live now or you're listening to the regular podcast, check lawabidingbiker.com/live. We will be live on December 9th. Is that the day?
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Yep. And we're going to have hopefully 4 in here for once. We're going to have 4 guys. I'm going to hook up an extra mic. It's going to be a long live episode, but we're going to, and I may do it on video. I'm not sure yet. It'll at least be audio live. If I can swing it, it'll be video live for once. Just because it's kind of a special occasion, but God, you'll want to be in the chat room that night. Now, we're doing it the night after. Right, Jake?
So you're doing it the Wednesday?
We're going to do it the Wednesday after, yes.
So
I apologize. Do you know what day that is?
The 10th.
So
Wednesday
it's going to be on the 10th. And if you guys go to lawabidingbiker.com/live, it is there, the date's there, the time's there. And we wanted to give it a day, Jake, so we could let it all sink in and I can make notes and we could really chew on it and really have a really, really in-depth discussion about everything Sons of Anarchy. So again, get on that email list on the live page. I'll send it out so that you know when it's happening. And yeah, it's going to be a great, great event. I'm looking forward to it. With that said, you guys are awesome. Thanks for sticking with us. It's been quite a deal, man.
Great night, guys. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks everybody on the podcast that's listening in the future. Thanks for the live audience. You guys are awesome. Thanks for being involved in the chat. Oh my God, Jake, that was intense. I'm glad we got through that because I didn't even know where to start, honestly, at the beginning. Call to action, guys. It is the holiday season. If you want to help Law Abiding Biker out, you want to put a little fuel in the Law Abiding Biker gas tank so we can make sure this keeps heading on down the road. We can keep bringing it live and all that kind of stuff. Hit up Amazon, guys. lawabidingbiker.com/Amazon. That's right. Bookmark it. Call it Law Abiding Biker Amazon Help or something. And every time you hit that link, and if you do purchase some, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a white negligee for your wife. It doesn't matter. We get a small kickback. That's right. No additional cost to you guys. So don't worry about it. No cost to you, but it does help us. It really does, and we appreciate it. Don't forget, we have a hotline phone number, 509-731-3548. Anywhere in the world, guys, if you don't want to pay long distance, you can call right from your computer, guys. We make it easy. lawabidingbiker.com/voicemail. Everybody's got a built-in microphone. You can do it. It's super easy. Don't forget to get in the regular email club, not the live email club, but just the regular one. lawabidingbiker.com/email club. I send out when we do new free videos. I try to stay in touch with you guys. We won't spam you. Jake might get on there once in a while and send you some of his porn. But other than that, no, we're not going to let Jake send you porn, I promise.
No porn.
No porn. We won't. We'll just send you, and we're not going to spam you guys. You know that about us by now. We're not into it for that. We're just going to try to stay in touch with you guys. Again, take about a minute. All right, guys. Man, it's been awesome. Thanks for all the support. You guys are awesome. Get pumped up this week. Spread the word. Tell everybody to listen in to this episode so they can be prepared for the season finale. The listenership is growing. It's because of your guys' involvement, because of your support. Thank you so much. Peace out. Keep the rubber side down
and the shiny side up.
There you go. Thanks for being in the studio, Jake.
Oh, hey, no problem. Anytime.
It's been awesome. You add a lot to the show, brother. You got a lot of insights.
I've been having a great time.
You're a good chatter, too.
Maybe too much.
I knew when it was going to happen in terms of the season. I knew where I wanted it to happen. We weren't sure if Hal was going to be available or not, but it all sort of worked out. And I liked the idea that Gemma was a strong enough character to be able to push past what she's been doing most of her life to a place of acceptance and sort of honoring the life that she's had and the world that she's lived in by knowing that it was her time. So I knew I wanted to bring her down that road and have her go out that way rather than it be contentious. I just think it's more potent for the two of them to have that scene in a very sad and quiet atmosphere.
Well, in the reality of the moment, I didn't realize that it was going to happen until it actually happened. But, the whole tone of the episode was explained to me, and the way it was written was that, she finally was not living that secret. There was a huge relief in finally having that secret revealed. And, I think she then knew that, she knew what was going to happen. And there was a certain amount of peace as she approached that, which I thought that was how it was written. That was the way Kurt explained it to Charlie and I both. And, Charlie and I had a conversation before we started that scene in the living room where we really, we just reminded ourselves of the conversational aspect of it, and that it was just two people that know each other really well reminiscing and having a conversation. I loved that there weren't a lot of histrionics written in the script. I loved that it wasn't a lot of like, oh, please don't kill me, or a lot of things that could have, it could have been this big, I just thought it was beautiful the way that it was presented.
Actually,
and the work that we got to.
Thing I liked about, and obviously it came out of direction and performance, but the idea that even in expediting her own death, she still was fulfilling the role of a matriarch and coaxing him and guiding him and saying, okay, you need to do this now, even if it means pointing the gun at me. And to me, that's somebody that's, been able to come full circle and after all the histrionics and all the horrendous things that she's done, she's able to have the capacity to go, okay, now it's my turn,
I always thought that, Gemma has been on this very spiritual quest these last 7 years. It's sort of been layered in to everything. And so for me, it kind of was the end of an arc of her making peace with some sort of spiritual sense in the universe. I mean, I don't know that was just my choice in it. And I think that's where that extra bit of calm was, and I think that, Kurt and I had conversation about that. So it was really a full circle for her.